Wow, you're welcome to this edition of Dialogue Box on Blossom Nigeria. This morning we are moving on, talking our nation in the right direction, and we are looking at the health sector, how the strike action by the JOHESU Union has been a major concern to the Minister of Labour and Employment, and that's Senator Ngige. So he has said that this new strike action that they are embarking on today, that's today, Monday, September 14th, is ill-timed, is illegal, and that is not the right action for them to take at this point in time. So what should be the way forward, and how can the health sector get everything in the right motion so that they will have the government listening to them at the right time, and also they don't have to degenerate to going into strike because of the consequences on the masses, on the people. So we'll be looking into that this morning, and we hope to achieve a consensus so that we can also tell the government what we think they should do to avoid further actions in that direction. So you stay with us this morning. We'll be right back. All right, you are welcome back. Now, talking about how we can prevent further strike action from the health institutions in Nigeria, we'll be having our analyst join us, and that is Mr. Chukwu, that will be giving us more analysis on the consequences on the people and how we can prevent further move in this direction. All right, we have it that the Minister of Labour and Productivity, Senator Ngige, has said that the federal government has directed that all the various unions in the health sector operating under the umbrella of JOHESU should not go ahead with the strike. It's actually a directive. So he urged the leadership of the various unions that make up the JOHESU to have a rethink on the illegal strike by putting the welfare of their patients and the country Nigeria above every other consideration. So he also noted that issues in the trade disputes between the JOHESU and the Ministry of Health were being discussed. So according to him, going ahead with the action would be illegal as it is in clear breach of the principles and conventions of the International Labour Organization, ILO, and the strike and Section 18 of the Trade Dispute Act. Then we also have more laws of it in the nation's federation laws of 2004. So parties in disputes are expected not to untwist, intimidate, or foist helplessness on the other party while negotiations are ongoing. So according to the Minister of Labour, that's Senator Ngige, there's no need for the health unions to go on strike because already negotiations are ongoing and the government is already looking into their demands. So why go on strike? So these are some of the issues we'll be looking at in this edition. All right, so we have our guest analyst on the line, and he will be talking with us this morning on the consequences on the people and how we can avoid further strike action in the health sector. So we have Mr. Chukwu on the line. Good morning, Mr. Chukwu.
Good morning, Madam Blossom.
All right, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you for having me on set for giving me the opportunity to call in.
Okay, now the strike action that has been embarked upon by the health workers in Nigeria today, they've started another strike action today. Do you think it's healthy for the nation? Because we are looking at how to also prevent further strike action in this direction.
There is nowhere in the world where you say a strike action is healthy for any nation at all. And when we say strike action, is actually to voice is to voice some displeasure by workers. So nobody wants to embark on strike just because of making a name for himself,
okay,
or trying to score a point. Okay. But the essence of strike action is emanating from the fact that we've been talking, we've been asking, we've been complaining, and you are not listening. So this is the consequence of what want to do. So we are going to embark on strike action to get your attention. That is just basically why the strike action is being carried out by some group of people in labor force and so on. But basically, it's not healthy for any nation.
Okay, now looking at the angle that the Minister of Labor is looking at it from, he said it is ill-timed and it is illegal because a lot of transactions are already ongoing with the federal government. So if the transactions are ongoing, why should they embark on any strike action before they conclude with the government? They should hold on and wait to hear from the government before thinking of that. Don't you think so?
Well, so for me, I don't think that the Minister of Labor is absolutely correct.
Okay.
There's nothing illegal as per going on strike. It is actually within the constitutional right of the labor to go on strike.
Yeah.
But when you say it is ill-timed, first and foremost, the request and the complaint did not start today. It has been on the border for a long time.
Okay.
These doctors have been complaining. The facilities are not updated. Their salaries have not been visited. You are owing us. Please pay us. Provide these amenities. Provide us a working condition that will help us carry out our work. They've been complaining. Why didn't the Minister of Labor, look into their complaints before now? Why is it ill time? They've carried out several warnings before now. So why are you saying it's ill time? Basically, I'm not saying that the strike action is the best way, but it's actually to call for an attention. And that is what they are getting now. Because if they are not embarking on strike, I'm sure the Minister of Labor will not be listening even till today. If they still continue complaining, talking, it will go until even the end of the year. So they're embarking on this strike to get his attention, and they have done that. So I think it is not illegal. But if you say ill time, what does it mean, ill time? Is it because it is post-COVID-19? I don't really understand what the minister means by it is ill-timed. But for me, I am not in support of doctors going for strike. But when you say ill time, it should give us more explanation. When should they go on strike? Is it next year or next 2 years? Or okay, you say the matter is being discussed. Why was it not discussed earlier? Why is it now being discussed? Because you are taking the doctors and the medical practitioners for granted. That is what is the result of this strike action.
Okay, but he is of the opinion that the JOHESU is a combination of different health workers union in Nigeria, including the National Association of Residential Doctors, NAD, the Midwives Association, the Nurses Association. No, it's a combination of all of them. So he's of the opinion that each of these unions have to answer to the Minister of Labor, and if he's asking them not to embark on any strike action now, it's like a directive from the government. So they should.
Madam Blossom, no,
yeah?
it's not about a directive from the government. Who is the Minister of Labor? You are a minister, by your name minister, you are to serve.
Yeah.
How have you served the interests of the people? You don't tell us that it is illegal for the doctors to go on strike because it is a directive from the government. From which government? What are they advocating for? What are the doctors asking for? Have you met their requirements? No. And you are telling them they should not voice their grievances, their complaints, and their dissatisfaction.
Okay.
It is totally out of order when you say the doctor should not go on strike because it's a directive from the government. In what way is it? Are we in a military dictatorship era? Obviously not. So, like I said, the strike action is kind of a projection of the unheard. It's the language of the unheard. We've been talking, we've been negotiating, we've been complaining, and you are not listening. So the next thing for us to do is to stop work and listen to us.
Okay,
so
sir.
you
Now,
can't tell them not to stop.
Okay, now, excuse me. Sorry. Now, looking at the action from the angle of the consequences on the welfare of the people. We have it that most Nigerians have different stories about how maybe some lost loved ones, some had some terrible conditions that were just ignored because doctors and nurses and midwives were on strike. So do you think it's something that they should consider at this time, especially in the post-COVID-19 era? So maybe that's where the angle that the minister is also looking at it from. But what do you think about that? Talking about the consequences on the people.
Madam Blossom,
yeah.
I am a victim of doctors going on strike. I am a victim.
Okay.
When I say I am a victim, I am a victim. And I know the consequences of going on strike on the populace. I lost a sister about 4 years ago. My sister was diagnosed with a liver issue.
Okay.
And I took my sister in my car, went to Lagos State Teaching Hospital at Ikeja. We got there, and there was no bed space. So we were told that she cannot be admitted because of the bed space. So we were referred to go to Bagada General Hospital at Bagada, Lagos. We drove from there. This woman was she was in pain. She was dying. So we drove from there to General Hospital Bagada. And when we got there, the same incident happened. There was no bed space. Which when we begged, we did everything. They said, no, the instruction is that they cannot treat anybody without being admitted into the ward. And for there to be an admission, there must be a bed space. So from there, we were referred to a private hospital at Ikeja, Allen Avenue. We got to the private hospital, the doctors were on ground, and they were ready. Guess what happened? There was no light, and the generator has packed up. And it was late in the night, at about 1 a.m. They called the technician, the engineer to fix the generator. The generator have been working. They've been trying to work on it for a while. We were there until about 2:30 a.m. They said this woman is going to die if she's not attended to immediately. From there, we were referred to the General Hospital at Father Agege. So we got to Father Agege. There was bed space, but there was no trucks to attend to this woman. Can you see all the things I'm talking about? So we begged. There's nothing. Okay. Look at we have bed space. We don't have medicine. Why not go to Lutz at Ideraba? From there, we drove to Lutz. We got to Lutz around 4 a.m. in the morning. When we got to Lutz, the doctors were on strike. So there was nobody to attend to my sister, and that was how she died at Lutz. So
hello?
Of this situation. Hello?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I
am a victim of circumstance of this situation.
Sorry about that.
Doctors going on strike is not the best for the nation, but the government should wake up and attend to some of these cries, some of the demands they've been asking for. Their demand is not in heaven. It's not out of reach. It is something that they can attend to. So the government should do that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. A final one. Now we have a very quick angle where the minister said some allowances have been paid to them. So can they start work with that, or must they have maybe 100%? Yeah.
Madam, let them pay them the full allowances and let them move on, please. Minister should not say stop. Give them their full allowances. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your call. Wow, that was a beautiful analysis from Mr. Chukwu, and it was really on the government, telling the government that you don't need to delay and you don't need to split the allowances into several fractions before you settle the health workers. Every one of them should get their full allowances and go all out with their jobs so that they will not have any of such distractions coming from the desire to maybe embark on a strike action to get the government's attention. So for this, like I've always said, talking the nation in the right direction, we're asking the government to do the needful and see to it that the health workers are well settled and they have all that they require to carry out their jobs talking about equipment, the resources that they require, both human resources, the technical angle, everything that they need should be given to them. And just like we have said about education, health is also very, very important, and the government should do the needful. So with this, we are saying that all that we require to make our nation healthier, we have. And the doctors don't have to be off work for days before we know that we can have a healthier society. So just like our analyst said, we don't want to hear of such maybe people that lost their lives to the inability or the unavailability of the doctors to attend to them. And for that, we are saying Nigerian Ministry of Labor and Employment, the Ministry of Health, do the needful and let the doctors and all the midwives and nurses go to their job stations. Even from today, they can call it off if the needful is done. Thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to having you on Dialogue Box tomorrow. I am Blossom, and I believe in a Nigerian dream.